I'm going to start by stating an obvious fact that we are teachers and we work in the education sector. Right?
All right.
And that makes sense. And there's a question that has been on my mind for some time, namely, how much of what we are doing counts as genuine education? We tend to associate education with getting knowledge and skills, but the Spanish speakers among us know very well that educado actually means much more than just trained. That genuine education gives not only knowledge and skills, but also certain quality and depth. And nowhere is this dual nature of education more clearly reflected than in languages, where the surface, called grammar, coexists with the depth, called meaning. Unfortunately, for the past many years, education systems all around the world have been growing increasingly one-sided. The whole of education started to be perceived through skills, and all the emerging problems of this planet are believed to be solvable through skills. Like, for example, the 21st century skills to deal with the growing ambiguity and uncertainty of the world. So, the education that is offered today, is mainly a reduced version of education. An education that comes down to the distribution of knowledge and the training of skills. This is not least because this is the only part of education that gives into commodification. Our profession is commodified to an extreme extent, I don't have to tell you. But I guess it all started with treating language as a commodity that can be measured, graded, scaled, marketed, and sold. The teaching profession suffered a loss of reputation because of that, so it was only natural that many of us rebranded themselves as trainers of English. I, for my part, don't blame anybody. We just wanted to work honestly and with dedication within a system that was given, and not to carry the torch of enlightenment and staying true to the ideals of education. But what we didn't realize is that the education that we were cultivating had suicidal tendencies. Because everything that can be commodified can also, by principle, be made disposable, given sufficient level of technological advancement, of course. It happened to warmth with the development of the central heating plant. It happened to music with stereo. Happened to meals with frozen food, etc. Now, it's happening as I speak to education with the development of, first, search engines, and more recently, powerful linguistic assistants like ChatGPT. The promise of technology is to liberate and disburden and to provide life of fulfillment. But if we get liberated and disburdened from education, this hardly sounds like fulfillment. If we assume that the real goal of education is to teach us how to think, how to exercise control over what we think, how to liberate ourselves from the doxa, and how to choose what we are paying attention to, then if we get liberated from that, then in the words of William Foster Wallace, We are totally hosed. So, it looks like, maybe one more thing. We paid a very high price for the industrial civilization because we paid with our planet, the environment. But now, with the coming of the information civilization, we may pay an even higher price, and that is, we may pay with our humanity. And so, we wanted to just teach and be left in peace, but I think we're gonna have to save the world now. Some of you may ask, like Billy Pilgrim from Slaughterhouse 5, why me? Why us? Why English teachers? But the answer is very simple. It's because we have access to the superpower called language. And the genius of language, to quote a philosopher, is so great that to meditate upon mere words leads to profound understanding. This understanding and becoming from it wisdom is the missing part of modern education. It had to go because it was very hard to commodify and it misbehaved. Take this. Understanding didn't help people to become who they decided to be, but instead it made people become someone they never even dreamed of becoming. I guess some of you here are also here by this kind of accident. I am. And to come back to understanding. Understanding means vitalization. Every time something gets understood, it starts playing an active role in our life. And education without understanding becomes a dull, mechanical process of memorizing. So, if today's education finds itself in a crisis, with more and more students doubting the point of school, it's because people don't have a genuine motivation for their choices, and the knowledge they're learning is disconnected from themselves. Now, language, as a natural vehicle of understanding, can help recreate these connections. Language can help us connect what we are learning about with what we know with what we feel, and what we feel with what we think. And these connections may later be the source of never before imagined thoughts, creativity, originality, joy. But most importantly, these connections can produce whole men. That is, people who are in touch with their center, sure of their convictions, like Christopher Columbus from the monument at the lower end of Taranta. So, this wholeness may also later be the source of genuine courage, self-confidence. I say genuine in contrast to this temporary, short-lived courage that comes from entitlement and certificates. This wholeness can also produce certain mental disposition, let's call it, that adapts itself to the new and changing circumstances, precisely because it's not attached to any narrow detail of tomorrow's technology or tomorrow's world, which would soon be, by the way, yesterday's technology, yesterday's world. Crazy phrase. And I lost the thought. But with saying that, and this is actually what I wanted to say when in the teaser of my speech, I said that English could be the only school subject taught at schools. It is able to generate this kind of effects. But to unlock the educational potential of English, or any foreign language for that matter, we need to change our perception about it. We need to stop treating English like a school subject. And most importantly, we need to stop teaching English in the same linear way like all the other subjects at school. We need to move from grammar to meaning. Now, what does it mean in theory and in practice? In theory, meaning cannot be imposed from outside. It can only be generated from inside out by each and every one of us. So in practice, that means moving away from teaching about language to doing something in language, letting people experiment with the meaning, construct, build it. Fortunately, there are more and more scientific arguments that this is how languages are learned, which is extremely optimistic in my opinion, because it means that genuine linguistic education has a lot in common with genuine education. Further implications, I guess, involve moving towards meaningful conversations with our students, ideally, of course, taught in small groups or individually. These are the conditions that we as teachers always wanted to have, but were very often denied in the world of scalable education. How can we win against this scalable education powered by powerful forces of the market and the interests of the so-called surveillance capitalists, that is big tech companies whose goal is to control our behavior. And this goal is in contrast to our goal, because our goal is human consciousness. Call me naive, but I see some silver linings here. I think that the growing fatigue with the current state of education is going to eventually play in our favor. There's a real war raging right now on the top with a new wave of disruption. Companies using AI are disrupting the former disruptors with even cheaper labor costs. Just look what's happening to companies like Chegg or Udemy that are listed on NASDAQ. I think that they will be fighting, but they will forever be fighting in the domain of reduced education. They will fake it. They will try to solve it like genuine education, but it's not. They can't get out from that reduced, commodified version of education. Therefore, if we, teachers, teacherpreneurs, grasp the difference between reduced and genuine education, we may be able to get out from this unfair competition and start playing in a totally different league. Of course, it will take time before we manage to communicate that difference to a wider audience, before the blind forces of the market start rewarding us materially. But I think that with the product that we have and the value that we have, the triumph is inevitable. And so the stake here is not just effective language teaching, but the stake is our humanity and the future of education. So that when finally Elon Musk installs his Neuralink in our brains, and Sugata Mitra's vision comes true, that not knowing will be as unimportant as not being able to tell the time without a watch, we'll be safe. information will be safe too. Because education, genuine education, is immortal. And it is forever enshrined in language.